Yeah, so many areas across the city without power for days after the storms damaged infrastructure, exacerbated by the load shedding, which is at stage 5. You simply cannot fix the lines if the power is out in an entire area. So City Power racing to try and reconnect communities, and it really is a very difficult situation. We also know that technicians are dealing with fending off armed robberies. 4 technicians were robbed of their possessions in Jeppestown over the weekend. I'm joined now by the Chief Executive Officer of City Power, Tshifularo Mashava. Ms. Mashava, thank you so much for joining us. Do appreciate your time. Just talk to me about the situation currently. I mean, how many outages is City Power dealing with at the moment?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. The situation is really bad at the moment. We've got quite a large number of outages, especially in our Hesthill and Roodepoort area. The calls that have been logged by customers, meaning customers who are off and have registered their concerns with us, we're talking about 4,700 at this point in time, which is really a big number.
That's a crazy high number. If we compare it to the load shedding problems we had, I think it was back in September. I know that Isaac Mangena came into studio, and I cannot remember, is this worse than then or about the same?
This is definitely worse. I think we have not been able to deal with anything of this nature in the past, because at that point in time, we're simply dealing with load shedding. But right now, we're dealing with load shedding. We are dealing with the aftermath of the storm. We are dealing with cable theft while we're at it. So it really is quite bad for us.
So you've got the trifecta of problems on your hands. You said you've had 4,700 calls logged. Any rough idea how many customers that represents?
So 4,700 is actual customers that have logged a call. But there is a whole lot other customers that have not necessarily logged their calls, but that are off. Because you'll understand that if a substation is off, for example, we've got Flay's substation, which is off, which is fed from the Eskom side. And unfortunately, with the rain, the poles fell, the lines fell, and Eskom has been trying to get that up since Wednesday. So it therefore means the entire Tshepisong place, the entire area is off, but you may find that maybe it's only 50 customers from that point that have logged a call with us. So we've got quite a lot of our customers off at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, are we talking tens of thousands? Are we talking hundreds of thousands? Are we talking perhaps over 1 million customers? We know Johannesburg is a really big city.
Yes, it's a big city, but we do not have 1 million customers. Although there's over 6 million residents, we actually service about half of that, because if you look at the Soweto area, it's serviced directly by Eskom. But in terms of the individual customers, we've got about 350,000. And at this point in time, we're talking about tens of thousands that are off.
That's still a lot of people. Talk to me about what load shedding does to your attempts to fix. I understand that you cannot work while load shedding is happening. Explain to us why.
So it is not safe to operate on the network during load shedding. We have to suspend all work. In fact, we have to even suspend our planned maintenance, even if we have a network at risk, because it is not safe to do that for our technicians at this point in time. So what happens is they can start doing some work, but testing has to be done with the power flowing. So it therefore means that nothing is going to happen until they're back on. And when load shedding is back on, if we do further testing and we find other faults, it means that customers are going to be off for much longer, because then you have to identify that fault, isolate, and then start with the repair work.
How many technicians do you have out in the field at the moment?
At the moment, I think we're looking at about less than 100 technicians. This is our own staff, including the resources from contractors that are spread across. You can have one technician, obviously, with some assistance and so on. So there could be a group in that particular area and not necessarily one technician at a time. But we have pulled all our resources, even resources that were supposed to be on leave. We've appealed to them to come back, and we thank our employees because they've been quite understanding at this point in time. We've also appealed to our contractors to avail additional resources at this point in time.
You're doing all you can. So you've got less than 100 technicians, which could be small teams, but they're trying to deal with those 4,700 reported outages, which, of course, as you say, represents tens of thousands of customers in the city of Johannesburg. With that kind of imbalance, how long do you think it's going to take to get to all the faults?
All right. So the good thing is, although the number may be quite high, it can happen that one substation, we're talking about over 800 calls, like what it was 2 days ago, when we managed to restore one of the substation, and we could then close 800 calls at that point in time. So we are only worried about the rain. So if the rain can subside, and if load shedding can be a bit kinder to us at this point in time, we have the view that within the next 2 days, the situation can be a whole lot better. But when the flood started on Monday, we had appealed to the customers for understanding, because we said that it can take us up to 2 weeks, really, to deal with what we are faced with. And at that point in time, we're assuming that the rains will stop. But if the rains are not stopping, it means that it's difficult for us to access some areas at this point in time. We've got trucks, cranes that are stuck because of mud. They're not able to go through. And if it's raining quite heavily, our guys are not able to work either. But without rain, with better conditions around load shedding, possibly in the next 2 days, we're looking at getting back to normal. And normal for us means less than 800 calls.
Normal is less than 800 calls, so you're currently sitting on, as you say, 4,700. So it's extreme pressure for your technicians. Dealing with storms, the impact of load shedding, and then cable theft, not to mention your technicians being robbed at gunpoint. I don't know what you're going to do about that. I mean, what are the plans? Are you requesting security to go out with your teams? What is the solution to that particular problem?
We definitely are requesting security. I think just to paint the picture, I've got one of our employees, and at a machete, who actually got bitten with bricks and stones, and he's in a coma as we speak. So that's how bad it is for our employees. We get our employees hijacked, we get them robbed. And it is for that reason that we declare that it's not safe in certain instances to provide the service, and we pull out our resources, because the rule here is when they're not safe, we allow them to pull back, because their life cannot be replaced. So what we are doing, we are obviously partnering with JMPD, a sister entity, through our board chair and through our MMC. We're getting the assistance in terms of the escalation to our sister entity, so that they come on board and they partner with us in terms of providing security for our staff. But we are also thankful to most of the councillors, really, that are mobilizing the community policing forums as well in their own areas, so that they support our teams and they make it safe for our teams to work. Because you see, this is a problem that happens in the community. Our people are not being robbed or being beaten in vacuum. It is happening in the communities that we serve. And the only way of dealing with this is if those communities take it upon themselves to support us, so that we can keep their lights on. And we are happy to say that in most communities, they're coming to the party, they're partnering with us, although we still have some criminal elements.
I mean, it's shocking when you say that one member of staff, one technician, is currently in a coma. And these are people who go out at all times of the day and night to try and provide a service to fix electricity, often in very difficult areas and difficult conditions. You mentioned the City Council. I know that the Mayor of Johannesburg, Mpho Phalatse, is asking for just a 3-day break in load shedding from Eskom. If Eskom granted that, would that make your life a heck of a lot easier? Would it allow you to do your repairs a lot quicker?
It certainly would definitely assist us. We are working closely with ESCOM to see what they can do. They obviously have to look into their own rules, because this is about South Africa as a country is about balancing the grid, and whatever that they do for city power, it will obviously have an impact somewhere else. They've requested us for some information. We've provided them with that information, and they'll be able to tell us what it is that they can do. I think it is quite regrettable that as a country we're going through load shedding, and it would really make, I think, every the citizen's life in this country easy if there was no load shedding. So we'll wait and see what ESCOM is able to do on their side. We've got a very good working relationship with them, and if something is doable, they certainly will be able to do it. And then if it's not doable, they'll be able to guide us in terms of, what can be done.
Well, I just have to wish you good luck at this point, battling so many problems. And although we know that people are getting frustrated waiting for technicians, when you bear in mind that you have less than 100 technical teams and you're dealing with over 4,700 concerns, there is a lot of work to get through. Thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. City Power's Chief Executive Officer, Tshifularo Mashava, speaking.